Ms. Pacheco?
Yes.
Motion carries. The consent agenda has passed except items B, C, and D.
Perfect. Item B.
Proposed resolution supporting the Miss Universe Cuba project and expressing its approval of the aims, goals, and objectives of the Miss Universe Cuba project as provided herein and providing for an effective date.
Mayor Vogel.
Yeah, just to make you aware that for the first time in at least 65 years and more, the Miss Universe pageant will have a contestant that is representing Cuba. What is interesting about this is that Cuba representative is going to come out of the exile. So the rights to be able to do a contest here in South Florida and name a Miss Cuba is a reality. It's authorized by the Miss Universe pageant. And I've met with the organizers. They are meeting with different cities. Also, obviously, it's a great opportunity to have our city shine and participate, perhaps in an announcement or a venue, same with the other cities. So this resolution just expressed our support. And again, just want to make it crystal clear, this would be, in essence, someone that comes from our an exile community. But it would be the first time in, I want to say 65 years, maybe it's a little bit more than that, since the revolution, that we have a contestant that will represent in the Miss Universe pageant.
Thank you, Mayor. So the motion. We have a motion by Councilman Zaghi.
Second.
Second by the Vice President. Call roll.
Mr. Calvo?
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robles?
Yes.
Ms. Pacheco?
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Mr. Tumidor?
Yes.
Mr. Zaghi?
Yes.
Motion carries. The item is approved.
All right, item C.
Proposed resolution prohibiting awarding city contracts and city-funded grants to businesses who facilitate or assist in facilitating recreational trips and vacations for leisure to Cuba.
Councilman Cal.
Thank you. Well, first off, I'd like to thank the mayor for co-sponsoring this resolution with me. And thank you to my colleagues on the city council for unanimously helping to bring this in today's meeting. So over the past couple of weeks, as we've been working on the language, I've had the opportunity to do a little bit more research. Just to remind everyone, the reason that this resolution came to light is obviously, we've seen what members of the Cuban regime have done in terms of coming to some of the most secure areas of Miami International Airport and getting a behind-the-scenes tour at TSA. That'll be a separate resolution that we'll be discussing next. But clearly, I think there's an intervention by the Cuban government in South Florida. And I would like to say the term that there's a hyper intervention in the past couple of months. We've also seen what happened with Rocha and sort of his deep spy status that he had within the U.S. government. The reason that this ordinance came up, or this resolution came up rather, is because of this business that we have in our community known as Max. And just to be clear, Max is a business that collects packages and coordinates travel to the island of Cuba. I read at last meeting some of the information that they put on their very own website saying how they want foreigners to visit Cuba and have a great time there, and Cubans as well. And so they make it this very rosy image of traveling to and from the island of Cuba. But not only that, I mean, it doesn't stop there. The owners of Max, to my knowledge, are Mr. Acosta and Mr. Trujillo. And they've actually met directly with Miguel Diaz-Canel when he visited New York for the United Nations. Their attorney for this business, Max, Mr. Man by the name of Cabral Suarez, who's also taking pictures, posted them online very joyously with the Minister of Exterior Relations in Cuba, which is Mr. Bruno Rodriguez Barrilla. Funny enough, there's ample evidence to corroborate this, but Max was also a sponsor of the Festival of Music at San Remo in Cuba, which was an event that was sponsored by the wife of Diaz-Canel, which is Escuesta. They as well had, they actually have government vehicles. Cubana uses government related vehicles in Cuba to deliver many of the packages that people send coming here from Hialeah. So obviously, this resolution doesn't mention Cubana specifically by name, but what it does try to do is a few things. Number one, obviously, I think this council has been very clear when we discussed it last time, which is to solidify that Cuba is a systematic and continued rule and dictatorship by the Cuban people. And moreover, that the city of Hialeah takes a very hostile policy towards businesses that align themselves and support the Cuban government. The reason that we're able to do this, as many of you know, is we have an embargo here in the United States on travel-related transactions, and that's codified in federal law. So under that guise, and under the guise of what's permitted here in the state of Florida and by our city charter, the resolution would prohibit the city of Hialeah from awarding city contracts, city-funded grants to any business who facilitates or assists in facilitating recreational trips and vacations for leisure to Cuba. That's step one. Now, there was another thing that I wanted to put in this resolution, and I was trying to work with the city attorney to get that in there. I would like to amend this version of the resolution, if we can. And that was to do, I think, a more ambitious second step. And that second step would be to prevent any sort of concessions other than what is explicitly required under state law or federal law to any of these businesses. Clearly, what we saw at the last meeting was that Cubana in that specific scenario was looking for a series of variances here in the city to, in essence, grow their business, make it better, lead to more clients, et cetera, et cetera. And, that's just something that I think we can't allow here in the city of Hialeah. We are a capitalist country. We are a country of freedoms. And in that, you have the freedom to operate your business as you wish. Even though I think many of my colleagues here on the council wouldn't give our businesses necessarily to these companies. But to the extent that these companies want to grow, and to the extent that these companies want the city to grant it permissions above and beyond what the code explicitly requires, I think the city of Hialeah needs to be very firm and very actionable that we're not going to be allowing that in our city, at least, to the extent that we can. So I would like to amend that. I would like the city attorney to add that in there as a section 3 here or what have you. And I think that'll really be the final step to get this passed today.
In light of a pronouncement by the council member, I guess what we could do is add a separate section that would say the city intends to deny any approval or privilege that is discretionary to the city and not required by law. Because again, as you earlier said, council member, all these things are true, but we're also in the United States and people have certain rights to petition things and to request things. So I don't think we can bar them, but the city can announce its intention to, unless something is required to be granted, right, that the city will be disinclined.
Yeah, and if we can use the word concession as well in that phrase, I think that would be great.
We'll use the word concession as well. We're going to say the city intends to deny any concession or approval that is discretionary to the city to such businesses that support and collude with the Cuban communist dictatorship. So that's agreeable.
Yep, that would be agreeable. And I just want to make sure that it's the same sort of language. I think it's section 2. I think 2 might be slightly more narrow. That's what
We're gonna add this as a separate section.
Right. It's, section 2 is specifically city contracts and funded grants.
Yes, it's city contracts and funded grants because the city controls that as a
right. Yeah, I'm saying to mirror the language of what you just said with this. going with what you just said now.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, it uses the word prohibits, so you want, I mean, prohibits is what it says in the city contracts and city funding grants.
Let me kind of simplify that. So section 2 is saying we're not going to give city contracts or any city business to businesses that facilitate or assist in facilitating trips and vacations to Cuba.
Yes.
And then what you just said now, if I remember correctly, is colluding or working with the Cuban government. There's a difference there. And I think we should just, for uniformity, keep it all consistent.
Okay, so we can add, because it's who are facilitating or assisting in recreational trips and who are colluding with the Cuban, is that, you know, so you can have
Yeah,
that same
the
thought.
most expansive version of
Okay. And who are colluding with the regressive finance dictator. And we will add the other section about, which I can repeat, but I already read out. Whereas any concession, approval, and so forth that is discretionary to the city, to such business, will, the city would intend to deny it unless it's required by law. Great. Okay? Thank you.
So yeah, with that, I motion.
Okay, so we have a motion from Councilman Calhoun,
Second.
and a second by the Vice President. Call roll.
Mr. Tumilor,
Yes.
Mr. Zalpi,
Yes.
Mr. Contra,
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robles,
Yes.
Ms. Pacheco. Yes. Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes.
Motion carries. The item passes as amended.
Item T.
Proposed resolution condemning the Transportation Security Administration, TSA, for failing to inform city and county officials of a Cuban delegation's visit to Miami International Airport, providing for transmittal and providing for an effective date.
Councilman Calhoun.
Thank you. So this is that second one that we were just talking about. This one has to do with TSA. Doesn't have that much teeth to it. Obviously, we can only show the airport. But I did want to make a slight edit here and strike the fourth whereas.
You want to strike the fourth whereas clause?
Yes.
So right, you're moving it with that amendment.
That's
Okay. Right. You're moving it with striking, that is deleting the fourth whereas clause.
Yeah, the one that talks about mayor comment.
Right, okay, that's fine. That is, so, I understand. Okay.
Okay, so is that a motion? Motion by Councilman Calhoun,
Second.
second by the Vice President.
Mr. Zalpi,
Yes.
Mr. Contra,
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robles,
Yes.
Ms. Pacheco,
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez,
Yes.
Mr. Tumilor.
Yes.
Motion carries. The item has passed as amended.
Okay, so.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're heading over now to administrative items. I see 11A is withdrawn, 11B is withdrawn, 11C.
Second reading and public hearing of proposed ordinance amending chapter 26 entitled Code of Ethics, Article 2 entitled City Officers and Employees of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Hialeah, and in particular by amending Code Section 26-36 entitled Financial Disclosure to provide use of the Miami-Dade County Disclosure Form, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing for inclusion in the code, providing for a severability clause, and providing for effective date.
All right, this is the second reading, there any public comments? All right,